Black girl saves Keanu Reeves from drowning. His offer to her family changes their lives forever. Rain poured down heavily as storm clouds covered the sky. The ocean waves crashed against the rocky shoreline, growing wilder by the second. A young girl named Amara stood by the shore, watching the storm with wary eyes. She had always loved the ocean, but she knew how unpredictable it could be. Just as she was about to turn back toward her small house by the beach, she heard a desperate scream. Her heart pounded. She rushed toward the sound, her feet splashing in the wet sand. There, struggling against the monstrous waves, was a man. His arms flailed, his head disappearing beneath the water before surfacing again. Panic surged through Amara, but she didn't hesitate. She had been swimming since she was a child. Growing up near the ocean had made her strong. Without a second thought, she ran forward and dived into the raging waters. The moment she hit the cold waves, they pulled at her like angry hands. She fought against the current, pushing herself toward the drowning man. As she got closer, she recognized his face. Keanu Reeves. The realization sent a jolt through her, but there was no time to process it. He was sinking fast. Summoning all her strength, she wrapped an arm around his chest and kicked hard, trying to keep them both afloat. He was unconscious. The waves slammed into them, pushing them away from the shore. Her muscles burned, but she refused to let go. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours before she finally reached the shallower waters. With one last push, she dragged him onto the shore, gasping for breath. His face was pale, his body unmoving. Fear gripped her as she pressed her ear to his chest. No heartbeat. Her hands shook, but she remembered what she had learned in school. Quickly, she started CPR. "Come on," she whispered, pressing down on his chest, counting each compression. A second passed, then another, and then Keanu Reeves coughed violently, water spilling from his mouth. His eyes fluttered open, dazed and confused. Amara let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "You're okay," she said, exhausted but relieved. Keanu looked up at her, his vision still blurry. "What happened?" His voice was hoarse. "You almost drowned," she said. "I pulled you out." For a moment he just stared at her, as if trying to process the situation. Then slowly, a weak smile spread across his face. "You saved me." Before she could respond, she heard voices calling her name. Her mother and younger brother ran toward them, their faces filled with worry. "Amara, what happened?" her mother cried. She turned to her mother, still catching her breath. "He was drowning. I saved him." Keanu pushed himself up with difficulty. "Your daughter is incredible," he said, still shaken but deeply grateful. Her mother looked at him, finally recognizing him. "You're—" Her eyes widened. "Oh my God!" Keanu let out a small chuckle. "Yeah, it's me." Amara's brother, Malik, stared in awe. "No way! Keanu Reeves? Mom, that's Keanu Reeves!" Despite everything, Keanu smiled. "I guess I owe you my life." He turned to Amara, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I don't even know your name." She hesitated, still processing everything herself. "Amara. Amara," he repeated as if memorizing it. "I won't forget that." They helped him back to their small house, giving him dry clothes and a warm blanket. Amara's mother made tea, still stunned by everything. As they all sat in the cozy living room, Keanu looked around, taking in the modest home. The walls were old, the furniture worn. He could see the struggle, the way they made the best of what they had. He turned to Amara's mother. "How can I ever repay you for what your daughter did?" Her mother shook her head. "You don't have to. She did what was right." Keanu looked at Amara, then at her family. He wasn't just grateful, he was moved. But before he could say more, a loud knock echoed through the small house. Amara frowned. Who could that be? Her mother stood up and opened the door. A man in a suit stood outside, his face grim. "Mr. Reeves," he said urgently, looking past them at Keanu. "We have a problem." Keanu's expression changed instantly. "What kind of problem?" The man hesitated, glancing at Amara and her family before stepping inside. He leaned closer and whispered something in Keanu's ear. Keanu's jaw tightened. His entire demeanor shifted. Gone was the relaxed, grateful man. Now he looked alert, almost afraid. Amara exchanged a worried glance with her mother. "What's wrong?" she asked. Keanu stood up, running a hand through his hair. I, I don't know how to say this, but I think someone tried to kill me. Silence filled the room. Amara's heart pounded. Her mother gasped. "What?" Keanu exhaled sharply. "That wasn't an accident. Someone sabotaged my boat." Amara felt a chill run down her spine. Everything made sense now. The way he had been struggling in the water, the fact that he hadn't been wearing a life jacket. Someone had wanted him dead. But who and why? Before anyone could say another word, another knock came. Louder, more urgent. Keanu and the man in the suit exchanged a tense glance. "Stay here," Keanu said, moving toward the door. But Amara had a sinking feeling in her stomach. Something was very, very wrong. Keanu slowly reached for the door handle, his muscles tense. Amara and her family held their breath as he pulled it open. A man in a black raincoat stood outside, his face shadowed by the dim porch light. His eyes flickered to Keanu, then to the suited man beside him. "We need to leave, now," he said in a low voice. Keanu's jaw tightened. "Who sent you?" The man exhaled sharply. "Mr. Reeves, trust me, you're not safe here." Amara felt her pulse quicken. "Who's after you?" she asked. The man in the suit turned to Keanu. "You need to come with us before they find you." Keanu hesitated, his eyes moving between Amara and her family. Something was tormenting him. Finally, he took a deep breath. "I'm not leaving without them." Amara's mother's eyes widened. "What? No, we can't just—" "You don't understand," Keanu interrupted. "If they find me here, your whole family could be in danger." Mara's heart pounded. What had they just been dragged into? A sudden bang from outside made them all jump. The man in black cursed under his breath. Too late. The next second, the window shattered. Glass flew through the air as masked men stormed in. Amara barely had time to react before Keanu grabbed her and pushed her toward the back door. "Run!" her mother screamed. Malik ducked under the table. The suited man pulled out a gun, firing shots at the intruders. Amara's instincts took over. She grabbed Malik and ran, her mother right behind them. Keanu followed close, leading them into the dark, rainy night. They sprinted toward the forest behind their house, the sound of gunfire and shouting growing distant. Amara's breath was ragged, her legs shaking. Keanu finally stopped near an abandoned shed deep in the woods. "We should be safe here, for now." Amara turned to him, gasping for air. "Who are they?" Keanu's face was grim. "People who want me dead." Her mother clutched Malik tightly. "Why?" Keanu hesitated, running a hand through his soaked hair. "Because I know something I shouldn't." Amara's hands clenched into fists. "Tell us the truth," he sighed. "I uncovered something big. Corruption, money laundering, crimes covered up by people in power. They don't want me talking." Amara's mother shook her head. "But why would they come here?" Keanu looked at Amara. "Because she saved me." A sickening realization hit her. If she hadn't pulled him out of the water, they wouldn't be in this mess. But she also knew, if she hadn't, he'd be dead. Keanu turned to the suited man who had followed them. "Do you have a safe house?" The man nodded. "We can leave in an hour." Keanu looked at Amara's mother. "I know this is a lot, but I swear I'll make sure your family is safe." She hesitated, then nodded. "Just get us out of here." Hours later, they found themselves in a hidden underground bunker. It was secure, but the weight of everything sat heavily on Amara's chest. Keanu sat across from her. "I owe you my life," he said softly, "and I promise I'll change yours." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "You risked everything to save me. Let me do the same for you." A week passed. The danger faded. And then, one morning, Amara's family woke up to something they never expected. A new home, a secure future, a life free from struggle. Keanu had kept his promise. One act of courage can change your life in ways you never imagined. Helping someone selflessly might lead you to the biggest blessings of your life.